Hi, it's John from Under the Table Hot Sauce. I'm here with my friend, the star of the show, Jimmy Farrow.
Yeah, what's up, JB?
Nah, nothing.
It's been a hot summer, and for all your barbecue needs, you can go to underthetablehotsauce.com. 13 unique flavors to choose from, created and bottled in a Long Island kitchen. Underthetablehotsauce.com. Let's go chow, JB.
Let's do it.
All the flavor, twice the burn. M&J Video Games and Collectibles. Sport and non-sport cards, wrestling items, autographed items. We buy, sell, and trade. M&J Video Games and Collectibles, located at 1049 Queen Street, Southington, Connecticut. Call us at 1-860-479-9223 or 860-93-GAMES. M&J Video Games and Collectibles.
Yes, it sure was.
There you go.
It sure was.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim. So when we were into wrestling, right, we were just speaking before the show. You guys didn't watch. You couldn't watch Up East, and we couldn't watch you guys. But we always looked at the magazines, right? Back in the days, right?
Yeah.
So I was, when I think of Jim Brunzell, I always think about the High Flyers with Greg Gagne, and I think about reading all those great stories against you and you two against Adonis and Ventura, who I became big fans of, and when they came up here, it was huge. But I didn't realize how much time you had spent in the WWE, and if you remember, Kurt Hennig started up here. And he was like enhancement talent for a while. He goes to the AWA and he starts building a name. And then he comes here. And then, of course, Terry Taylor's here. And I guess my question to you, you were around during that time too. There's a story out there that they discussed that the two gimmicks of Mr. Perfect and the Red Rooster were up for grabs. And they flipped a coin to see who was going to be who. Is that true?
I never heard that.
Never heard that. Okay.
It might have been, Kurt was a hell of a worker, and so was Terry. Terry was a better babyface than a heel, I think. But they wanted to make him this heel, and Kurt was a natural heel, and Kurt was a wrestling heel. And at one time, Kurt probably was one of the best in the top 3 best overall workers in the WWE, and he might have been in the top 3 in the whole world of wrestling.
Right.
You had, to me, I look at these guys that I was fortunate enough to see and work with, and I see some guys, like Jake the Snake Roberts was incredible. His timing in the ring, everything he did looked good. Same with Bob Orton Jr., one of the best. I had plenty of time working with him. His timing and everything he did in the ring was incredible, and then and you have, Ricky Steamboat, who was a great babyface. Oh God, incredible. And there was so many guys, and and then you have the character wrestlers, like Ric Flair, 1 in a million, and there's a lot of them that I probably didn't mention, and Bret Hart was excellent. But I mean, when you think of what made New York, and the WWE, it was Hulk Hogan all the way.
Sure. So back to Taylor, though, do you think that that gimmick was just so bad it just didn't get over, or do you think that he just couldn't get into it?
That gimmick.
Because I got to be personal. I really did like the Red Rooster. I really enjoyed the Red Rooster.
Please tell him that gimmick was terrible, and if Mr. Perfect had been the Rooster, I would have squawked. Help me out, Jim.
Well, let me tell you something.
Brother.
This is, brother. Vince McMahon had a way of giving guys a gimmick that he was making fun of other people in the wrestling business.
Okay.
And a great deal of this was when, let's see, it was Harley Race, they called the King. And then David,
You had Virgil.
Oh, shoot.
You had Virgil.
Yeah, Virgil.
Dusty,
Yeah,
right?
Virgil
Yeah.
got named for Dusty.
Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
So who was
And
the
that-
Red Rooster?
and that was it.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Aye.
So, he had his own way of just sort of, and then he made Harley Race wear this crown, king,
Yeah.
Then he brought, the Funks in and didn't know what to do with them. And Dory Funk and Terry Funk were great. Honest to God, they were good.
Yeah.
And then, they didn't know what to do with them and they just sat and bounced around and,
Where do you put Bob Backlund? I gotta ask, because in the magazine days, this was always pissing us off. They would rank Pro Wrestling Illustrated or The Wrestler or Inside Wrestling, the mags. They would rank the champions, and it always seems like Bob Backlund, we felt, was like, what the F? They would give it to Bockwinkel, they'd give it to Race. They always seem to put Bob after them. What's your memories of Bob Backlund? And he belongs with these guys. I'm sorry, but, what's your take?
Well, Here's the deal. Bobby was a great babyface wrestler. He was a great collegiate wrestler. He was more or less what you'd say is a real humble interview. And I think Vince Jr. didn't like that. He didn't get along with Bobby. And his dad wanted to have a wrestling champion. That's why they gave Bob Backlund the championship belt, because they thought, hey, we're going to be just like the AWA, and we're going to give somebody the world champion that can really wrestle, which Bob could do. And I'll just say what happened to me, and then it sort of reflects Vince's attitude about Bob Backlund. So the very first day I came to WWE, I flew into LaGuardia, and then we went into Poughkeepsie in a small plane. Mm-hmm. And I remember doing the TV, and I think it was June 26th, and it was 1985. So Gene Okerlund's doing the interviews, and they had a ton of interviews that day, and then you had 2 or 3 hours of TV, and then the next day we'd fly to Canada and do the same thing over. So Gene Okerlund is interviewing me, and it's a typical, humble babyface interview, and Gene knew my background after being in the AWA with the High Flyers and blah, blah, blah. So I did a normal all-American babyface interview, and as I walked away from the interview, I heard Vince McMahon say, "Oh, another Backlund."
Oh my God! Really? Man. Oh boy!
That's what he said, and I thought, "Oh boy, yeah." So that was my first day in New York.
Well,
he fired me 3 times.
Yeah, I was